believe we are live. How are we doing, everybody? Let me just put all my checks in place to make sure we're all good. But whilst I am doing that, just say welcome to another Rugby Muscle Athletes Q&A podcast. For some reason, I've moved the logos across here, so let me do that whilst I'm also waiting for some people to come in as the notifications are sent out to everyone on the Rugby Muscle Athletes Facebook page. And I will remember, give this a thumbs up, but it looks like we are good to go. So, yes, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another brand new Rugby Muscle podcast. I'm your host, as always, TJ, and today we've got more questions coming through on the Rugby Muscle Athletes Facebook group. I will rattle through any pre-prepared questions before answering any questions that I receive live. As usual, give it a thumbs up. If you give it a thumbs up on the Facebook page, it helps it appear in more people's feeds because that's just the way Facebook works. If you're watching on the YouTube, thumbs up always massively helps out. And then comments also really help out on the YouTube. If you comment on the Facebook group live edition, then I will be able to answer your questions as they come in. Soon, probably next week, we might be changing these days. We will potentially add in an extra day. I'm sort of playing with how to do it myself, so I'm figuring out whether we're going to do one extra live Q&A on a different day and whether that's just going to be for paying members or whether we're going to move this one to another one and then do something else for the paying members. But the membership site at rugby-muscle.com is very close to being finished, and as part of Team Rugby Muscle you will get that. More information can be delivered through the emails if you just sign up at rugby-muscle.com. If you are I forgot what I was going to say there. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you can always give us a 5-star review. And if you listen to us on the podcast, we might already be live. So if you check out rugby-muscle.com/team, you can join that membership page. You can join with our live Q&As. We'll be doing lots of membership content because I know a lot of you guys don't want everything given to you. I know a lot of you guys want information that you could sort of implement in your own and sort of figure out your own training program, and that's up to you. If that's you, but if you think that's the 100% going to be the best way and it stresses you out a little bit, I would ask you to reconsider. I would go check out the Rugby Muscle YouTube channel, not just for the nutrition video I uploaded this week, my full day of eating, but also for the client testimonials that are going up, because time and time again I see guys that go through Rugby Muscle Elite coaching, and the biggest benefit they find is that they save themselves so much time and so much mental bandwidth because they don't have to think about it. So if coaching is something that interests you, rugby-muscle.com/elite. Check out the Rugby Muscle YouTube channel and find out more information upon that or for that. And like I said, if you're listening to this already on the podcast, then you can also, not only will that stuff already be live, it's not quite live now if you're watching it in real time on the Q&A, but if you're watching it or if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can also give us a review. Massively helps out. And I will also give you a shout out and a free chance for a free consultation or a 1 month free of Team Rugby Muscle and that membership site, actually. So that'll be good for you, and it helps out the show massively. It takes 5 seconds. Thumbs up obviously takes less than 1 second, but if you help out the show with a review, I really want to try and give back. So this 5-star review comes from Ian. He says, the perfect podcast for your rugby kit bag. Gives us 5 stars. Says, a great podcast. It's an incredible resource for any rugby player, no matter what your level. Whether it's a solo episodes full of knowledge bombs and hard truths, or the Q&As featuring questions from real rugby players, or the awesome guests. Every episode will teach you something new to help you achieve your goals. Wow. Hits me right in the feels. Thank you so much, Ian, for that review. Reach out and we will hook you up as promised. Now, without further ado, not without further ado, let's get into the questions. I have a new feature I want to start introducing to these Q&As. Stupid shit that I've done. And I'd like you guys on the Facebook video and on the YouTube as well, if you're watching the videos, comment below any stupid shit that you've done and you can compare. And the idea of this one is that every week, I reckon I could keep this up for at least a whole year, probably 2 years, of every week go through a new stupid thing that I did in the pursuit of gains, because I didn't have a me to sort of go to as a resource. I didn't have someone helping me out and telling me, no, don't worry about that, that's probably just hype. Nope, don't worry about that, that's probably just hype. I bought into so many different things because of the hype, and one of the things that I bought into was horny goat weed. Horny goat weed, if you've never heard of it, which I hope you haven't, is a supplement that's supposed to really boost testosterone levels and therefore boost your muscle gaining capabilities. I don't know. I bought it, and then the only real effect it had on my life was that it got me a lot of banter thrown my way by my housemates. They're like, what the fuck is this? What is this? You're an idiot. And did I get any bigger during the time I took it? Probably not. Maybe if I did, I got a little bit fatter. But I also did loads of other things at the same time, so I could never measure whether it actually gave me any benefit. Spoiler alert, it probably didn't. It just distracted me and wasn't actually fairly expensive for the no return. So horny goat weed is the first and probably not most ridiculous, but most ridiculously named entry into the stupid shit I've done in the pursuit of games. I'd like to hear what you guys have done, the stupid or just stupid and funny things that you've tried that at the time to you they made sense, and now it just seems like they're a stupid idea, and we can look back on them and laugh. I will be able to crank out at least a year's worth of these, probably 100. I could probably name 100, but the start one is horny goat weed. Save your money, don't worry about that. Cool. All right, so now we've had some time. We've got a few people on the live now, finally. What's up, guys? Remember to give it the thumbs up. Sorry about the dodgy timing. Daylight savings. If I'm honest, I really don't understand why we still do daylight savings in 2020. It doesn't make sense. Does it need to be darker earlier in the morning or lighter early? Who cares? We have lights everywhere that we go. If anything, you'd want it to be lighter later on, simply because, number one, it's safer for the people that are more fragile and more at risk of people that are more at risk of getting mugged or getting harmed in the streets in the dark. People that are scared of the dark or being out in the streets when it's dark at night, they have more light time. And also, we can do more sports on fields and things when it is light outside. So I don't understand why we keep doing it. I don't understand why we just keep 1 hour, the same hours consistently throughout. Who are we saving these daylights for, and what hours do they make anyone benefit? I don't understand it, but maybe for this Q&A edition, you guys can answer that question for me in the comments below. But that's enough rambling for me. Let's get into the fucking questions, shall we? So Alias says, thanks. What are some good lock-specific workouts I can be doing to become better at my position? So if you've listened to any of these podcasts before, you understand that for the most part, I usually am not a big fan of too much focus on position-specific stuff. I think, if you go to and watch the rugby physical preparation pyramid, you'll understand that building out a base is going to form up the vast majority of your training, particularly as an amateur rugby player that has other work and only can commit so much to training for rugby. I think because if you just get generally bigger, faster, stronger with a stronger core and more athletic, you're going to be better at your position, right? Most of the position-specific stuff comes to how you play the game from a tactical point of view, from a strategic point of view, from the skills that you do and how you utilize those skills. Skills and strategy and those sorts of things, they're not developed in the gym. They're developed on the field. They're developed by you playing the game. So you're going to become a better lock by practicing your lineouts all the time. You're not better at lineouts because you know, yes, you can improve jumping, and I'll get into some things that you can do because I don't want to give you completely nothing. But what you must understand here, Alias, is that hopefully that's your name. A-E-L-I-S. No, A-E-L-I-A-S. Alias. Let me know as well in the comments. Where's that name from? That's an awesome name. So anyway, like, if you're focusing so much on position specific stuff, you're not focusing on this is when you're in the gym. You're not focusing on actually developing yourself as an athlete. You're developing yourself like just to do that one limited thing that's going to be held back by how strong you are. You know, being more explosive, having more general agility, having more general movement capability, that's going to make you better in a line out, or it's going to give you more capability of being better in a line out, right? A high jumper could be a fantastic line out jumper, but they're also going to be terrible. They're going to have a fantastic base and ability in the long term to be good at line outs. But if they don't know how to jump for their locks, they don't know how to read what another lock is doing, or how to read the opposition line out, or how to execute a jump, or how to communicate with their lift as well, or how to make a decision whether they're going to jump or lift. All those, all those refinements and refined skills are things that you need to practice, like further down the line, right? Or the things that you need to practice in a game or rugby training situation. So if you're focusing all your workouts to be lock specific, you're going to hold yourself back. What you can do then, therefore, as a lock that wants to improve yourself, is number one, when you get back to rugby, which I don't know if you're in the States, that might be like you might still be training or whatever, right? But if you're a lock, when you get back to rugby, spend that 15. I've said before, a good idea is using that 10 to 20 minutes before rugby training starts, because there's usually some boys in, and what for the most part happens is people either play a shit touch, which is the worst, most useless waste of time that you can do by doing walking touch that doesn't really benefit anyone, doesn't really, there's no point, or people just stand around in a circle and they throw the ball, they just boot the ball to each other. It's just a monumental waste of time. If you're a lock, get 3 mates together and practice some jumps and practice some lineouts, practice some movement into jumps, whatever you need to do. That way, like, you're spending, that 10 to 20 minutes is going to be massively beneficial, because not just that one time, but if you do that over the course of 4 months, your lineout ability is going to drastically improve, okay? It's going to make a massive advance on where you were before. Then on top of that, in the gym, obviously you're going to work your jumps, but I wouldn't look to do like box jumps where you're trying to jump as high as you can. I would look to jump and then keep your legs together, because that's where you would have your lifters support you, and just work for height, okay? I would react, I would take 2 steps forward, jump, 2 steps back, jump, and just practice those either as French contrast supersets or as contrast supersets where you're doing like a heavy strength movement and then a jump, or I would just do them as part of my jumps in the intro. I would then also work a lot of core stability. Now, as you'll notice as I'm getting into this, that first one is very much a thing that only locks will do. Then as we get into this a little bit more, it's going to start to become more relevant for other positions. So if you're doing core stability, ideally trying to maintain a strong trunk, that's going to help you in the line out as well. It's also going to help you able to ride tackles, going to help you in the ruck situation, stop other bodies, your opposition, from being able to manipulate you back and forth. And therefore, you're going to have, you're going to be able to translate your strength better on the field. Now, finally, I would go back to what I said earlier and just generally get, for a lock for sure, if you're tall, usually it's going to, like, a lot of people that end up being locks are just sort of beam poles. Like, develop a real strong, muscular body. Get some weight behind you. It's going to make you more effective with your carries. It's going to make you more effective in your rucks, in your jackals. Now, ideally, you develop it over a long enough period of time where you are developing enough athleticism, easy for me to say, whilst gaining that size so that you'll not end up being a slow lock, or you're still dynamic. But because you are then working the sort of, because you're working your athleticism whilst gaining size, you're going to get the best of both worlds. Sorry, whatever that noise is, if you guys can hear it, is incredibly distracting. So that would answer that question. Next question. I hope you guys can't hear that. Part of me hopes you do hear it, because it's just like to sympathize for how distracting it is. But part of me hopes that you don't hear it, because then it makes for a better sound for you guys. Let me know in the comments if you can hear it. Okay, Mike Lowry. I bet he never gets that. I bet no one ever says that to Mike Lowry. I bet no one ever does that impression when they talk to you. Sorry, buddy. I just added to the problem. But he asks for strength and conditioning programs and nutrition tips. Consistency is stopping me now due to my work schedule. So, this is a question that I get a lot. Or hey, can you help me out? What do you need? I need strength and conditioning programs and nutrition. Yeah, that little buzzing is fucking annoying in the comments. So let me start that again, because we can edit this out for the podcast. Don't worry about it. So Mike Lowry says, strength and conditioning programs and nutrition tips. Consistency is stopping me now due to my work schedule, working a night shift as well. So I get this a lot. I get a lot of the time people come to me and they say, TJ, I really need help. And I say, what do you need? And he says, I need strength and conditioning programs, and I need nutrition tips. Well, okay, what are you doing right now? Well, I'm not doing anything. Well, you don't need loads. You don't need programs. You don't need tips. You need a strength and conditioning program that can be done for you. You need a nutrition structure that you can stick to. If you're struggling to stay consistent, you don't need tips. You need to stay consistent. So you need to whittle away at what you think is all this crap that you need, and go for the very, 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 very minimum, and then stay consistent with that. Then you can build upon that, and then you can build upon that, and you can build upon that. If you're not going to the gym, you don't need the perfect lock workout. You need to go to the fucking gym more regularly. Okay? If you are, if you're struggling to stay on your diet, you don't need to know whether you should be eating X amount of fats, or whether this serving of dark chocolate is however many grams of fat, or you don't need to know what the perfect post-workout meal is. You need to be consistent with your diet and understand that, and then be able to make the change. If you have no foundation, if you have no quantifiable, consistent regime to alter, then you don't need to alter it, because you haven't got anything there. You need that structure in the first place. So what I would suggest is work out what the minimum amount of commitment that you can do is. So especially for Mike, because I'm going to deal with you specifically because you're the one that asked the question. You're working a night shift. So what is going to be the most feasible, easy way for you to get to the gym and maintain energy? Is it going to be waking up early before your night shift and getting to the gym and then going to your night shift? I've dealt with people that have done that. I've worked with them personally. They found that doesn't work, because a lot of them then almost can't perform their work at night because they're so tired. So they're better off getting up, going to work, eating a little bit throughout the day, or through the night, gives them enough energy, and then by the time that they finish, they just pop they'll have some sort of energizing drink, whether that is caffeine or not, it depends, and then they'll go to the gym. Now, that might disrupt your sleep during the day, but let's be honest, if you're working a night shift and you're trying to sleep during the day, then your sleep is going to be disrupted no matter what. But then you can get in your training session, get in a big feed, go to bed. Nutrition tips, it's just log your diet. Like, have an idea of what you're currently eating, because then only then can we have an idea of like what we could change from there. If you have no idea what you're eating, it's like I'm going to use this analogy more and more and more because I do really like it. It's the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. When she asks him, you know, which road should I take? And he says, he asks Alice, well, where do you want to go? And she says, well, I don't know. Any road is going to do. So you have no idea of what's working for you or what's not. So start taking measurements, start taking like a log for yourself so you can see where your body's going, and then quantify your diet so then you can make the changes that you want to make. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully, you know, I'm not trying to be harsh here, but the idea is that you don't need lots of different programs. You need less programs. You need one program that you can stick to. Whether that's 3 days a week, whether that's 4 days a week, whether that's 6 days a week, whether that's a couple double sessions. Ideally, you want to keep it relatively consistent throughout the week. So I wouldn't, you know, people sometimes come to me and they say, well, I'm really busy during the week. Can I just work out 2 days on the weekend? You can work out 2 days, but a week and get okay progress, but they would have to be like a Monday workout and then a Friday workout, or a Tuesday and then a Saturday. You would have to get those stimuluses or stimuli, right? The training bouts that make your improvement. You would have to get those relatively consistent. If you take 2 days on and 5 days off, well, now you're spending, you know, 2 days putting yourself down, and then you recover, and then you're doing nothing. So you go back and you'll not get those stimulus. By the time you get back to training after that 5 days off, it's, you know, you're almost just starting from square one again. So be as consistent as you can with that. Try and figure out a schedule that works for you, and then go from there. If all of this sounds kind of overwhelming, this is what I do. I do think that Rugby Muscle Elite, getting a coach for a while, just to figure out your minimums and what you can do, and get just get your mind switched onto this all, could be an idea for you. rugby-muscle.com/elite for that. Okay, Gage. Oh, he actually followed up his question, and I didn't copy it into my Google Docs here. So let me see what he said here. Oh, he did. It's very similar. So he asked this question twice. So Gage, shout out to you, man. You joined the group and you actually really did. You really actually has been one of the only people ever that have asked the question like really because you've got an understanding of you've got a problem that wants to be solved. And Gage's problem is, hey, what should I do? My cafeteria serves terrible food, really high in fat, for example, 34 grams of fat with 40 grams of protein and so much sodium. What can I buy and keep in my room without a fridge that can keep my meals clean? I'm at college and the food is so bad for me. What kind of packaged food can I keep in my room without a fridge that will keep my diet clean? Okay, so first off, Gage, it sounds like you've got more of an idea of what you want out of your diet. You have an idea of protein, you have an idea of fats, you've got an idea of the fats that's in the foods, and so now you're realizing that that's problematic for you. So the first part, if you've already listened to me answering Mike Lowry's question there, you have an idea of exactly what you should be doing, or you have an idea of what you want from your diet, and therefore we've got it quantifiable so we can make the adjustments. So the adjustments I would make to this, first and foremost, if you are an athlete that trains enough, that sweats enough, sodium isn't too much of a concern for me. I've never once had any athlete that I've ever dealt with, and I say any person really, like personal training, old woman, young guy. Never have I had anyone where I've actually been concerned for their sodium. Every single person I've ever dealt with has got healthier. Sodium is just not a thing. It's not a concern. This is one of those things where we're trying to worry about so many different things and they confuse us. Let's worry about less. So sodium, we don't have to worry about that. Okay? Now, if you can, number one, I would deal with, I would protein powder is the easiest, most, like, one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest, source of protein that you can get. It's very easy. You just have it. Yeah, you can store it in your room. You can have it as a top up whenever you're short on protein. And it's, it's not the most filling thing in the world, but you can add it to a meal to make that meal more filling, or you can have it, if you've had a meal where you're really short on protein, or you can have it as a staple breakfast or as a staple snack throughout the day. Really bumps up your protein. I don't know anyone that gets in 200 grams plus of protein easily without having a protein shake here or there. And maybe that's me being biased because that's me, because I'm a pescatarian. So like protein powder becomes a big help. Just makes your life so much easier. So number one, some sort of whey protein or protein powder. Ideally, they are not going to be mass gainers. Mass gainers are just protein powder plus a ton of sugar. Don't worry about that. Just get your protein powder in. Things to keep so it depends what you're missing, really. It becomes difficult. So if you've got a cafeteria, most cafeterias, number one, will have a salad stand. So I'd always make sure that, like, if I'm allowed more than one plate, I'd get one plate of salad standard every single meal. I would then look for the least fried food at each meal. So rather than look at what can I have as packaged food and keep in my room, and then I can have this crap in the cafeteria, I would look at it a little bit differently. I would firstly try and conquer and have the best amount of, or the best case scenario every time that I go into the cafeteria. So I would always look at the salad stand to begin with. Then I look at the leanest meats that they've got. Usually that's going to be, that usually they will have some sort of lean meat. Usually there'll be a chicken, even if it's deli meat. Again, there's the sodium thing with deli meat, but we've already discussed how that's not really an issue. If you have deli meat for 5 meals every single day, then it starts to become an issue. But 1 meal a day, I'm going to say that that's kind of okay. And that's only as a last resort. If they've got actual chicken in there, have the fucking chicken. If they've got lean beef in there, have the beef. If they've got fish in there, have the beef. Like, ideally, you've got lean cooked meats in there. That's going to be your best option for your cafeteria. And then you would look for the leanest carb sources that you can. So you've got your vegetable, you've got your protein. Now we're looking at carb sources. We're looking at your rices, your potatoes. Ideally, they're going to be lean. They're not going to be fried. If they're still shit, if all they've got is shit, bread again is usually going to be served. So you can make yourself a fucking sandwich or a couple sandwiches, or you can have a plate of salad with lean meat, or vegetable with lean meat. And then you've got your bread there on the side. Boom, you've got yourself a really well-rounded meal. Not so high in fat, not so high in shitty food. It's very high in nutrients. You're going to be sorted. Now, if that's completely not possible, if all they serve is shit, I would look at getting a minimal amount of fat with that meal and a decent amount of cooked protein. And then I would top that up with fruits, because you can store fruits at home fairly easy, like apples, grapes, bananas, pears. Like, keep fruit in your house, in your apartment, and then protein powder. So then you can have, say they only serve eggs and bacon, and that's it. They serve, and the rest is just shit. I'd have 3 or 4 eggs. I'd have maybe some bacon. And then I would have on top of, and then I'd go back to my apartment and I'd have 20 grams of protein plus a piece of fruit. Yes, that's kind of high in fat, but that's okay. As long as you're equating for calories at this point, you're not going to cause too much damage. I personally am a big fan of low fat. I say low fat, medium fat, but very, very high carb. Like, it's high, like you want to meet your minimal amount of fats, which is probably around 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. So if you weigh 90 kilograms, around 90 grams of fat. Ideally, you can stretch that out to 0.75 if you can make it a bit lower, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. But I try and shoot for like a low amount of fat, and that way, and then you've got your amount of carbs, 2 to 3 grams per kilogram of body weight. You would then get the rest and this is where you get the effects from carbohydrate. You let the carbohydrate give you the energy. Carbohydrate is always going to be the best fuel, whether that's for recovery, whether that's for training, whether that's for growing. So now you've got your minimums, protein and fats, and you get to either grow or give yourself the energy that you need, or whatever it is you need. All those excess calories are coming from carbohydrate. Now that's not always possible, and in this situation it might not be possible. So then we would take away the carbs and we would add in the fats. Like if we go to, if you end up having 1.5 or 2 grams of fat per kilo of body weight, that means your carbs have to drop, and it's something that you would then just pay attention to protein and calories, and therefore your daily calories would be adjusted rather than your carbs. Final solution. I've thrown a lot at you here, Gage, but I think these are good ideas. The final solution I'd have for you, buddy, is I would look at buying like a little mini chest fridge and keeping some lean protein sources in there. Again, fruits is always going to be good, but keeping some meats in there would be ideal. I'm trying to think of what else you would put in there. Really, lean meats, yogurts, cheeses. Vegetable, any sort of fresh fruit that might be spoilable goes in there, and then you're almost completely sorted, and you've got no excuse. And you get, depending on the cafeteria and the college that you're at, you get free meals every day. That's fucking awesome. So that's what I would look at. Hopefully that all makes sense, and then you would just track from there, and then you just make adjustments each time. It's not ideal, but it is ideal because you get 3 meals every day that you don't even have to cook. Like, you are like, I'm looking at you with envy, dude. Like, having to cook all your meals all the time, particularly when you're at me and you're eating 3,500 calories a day, man, it's an effort. And I get help cooking, and I still feel like it's an effort. If I had a cafeteria that I could go down, not have to cook, and just fucking pile food on my plate, I'd be loving that. But everything is a give and take. So remember, be grateful for it, buddy. Cool. All right. Next question. The buzzing has stopped, people. Hopefully we can appreciate this little bit of tranquility that we've got right now. Barkley says, actually, taking a step back, since we're back into lockdown in many places, what would be the best equipment? We're back into lockdown in many places. What would be the best equipment to have for home training, for aerobic and weight training? By best, I mean, what items would you give a foundation range of exercises, as we're not going to have unlimited budgets or space? Great question. I'd say, Barkley, I would say, number one, this is a time where, and I think I said this in the initial one, the people that made a home gym in the very first lockdown, the people that really took a big investment, they are fucking laughing right now. And they've been laughing since lockdown because they've got this home gym. So yes, set your budget, but set your budget according to what, don't think of, what do I have available to me right now? Think about, what do I have available to me, and what am I currently going to keep spending on a gym membership for the next year? Could I make that investment into a home gym and then save myself up front all of that money that I would have spent on a gym membership? And do I save myself the effort and the convenience and the consistency, because now I've got no excuses. Now I've got a gym in my house and I can use it and I can adapt it to all my needs that I want. If that's you, it could be very worthwhile just getting a decent squat rack, a barbell and a bench, some weights, maybe some adjustable dumbbells, and then go from there. After that, we're looking at bands. We're looking at some sort of Airdyne bike is what I said in the last podcast as far as what is going to be the best aerobic equipment, because obviously you're going to be running, but then you want some off-feet conditioning. That can be absolutely done through air bikes. I think that's the best way to do it, because you can use your upper body, you can use your lower body, you can go intense, you can go light. It works out really well all around. So that's if you've got space and the budget for a home gym. Now, if you don't have a home gym, or if that's not going to be feasible for you at all, then you've got to look at, well, is this something that I want to start to slowly build towards the future? If that's the case, again, I'd still look at potentially a squat rack, and if not a squat rack and weights and whatnot, I would look at dumbbells. Adjustable dumbbells are the simplest thing that you can do, because even then, if yes, it's more expensive than buying some shitty bands or doing whatever, but if you've got some good adjustable dumbbells, like that can actually save you. Maybe you can only make it to the gym 3 times a week when lockdown finishes, but you can actually do 2 home workouts using just the dumbbells on top of that. Or maybe you've only got an hour at the gym, or maybe you go to the gym and it's like peak busyness and it's a fucking nightmare, and you can't make the best use of your time when you're in the gym. But you've got these dumbbells at home, so you can go do other workouts on top of that. That means that like you could potentially just do like your big muscle groups in the gym using the machines, and then you come home and you spend 10 minutes, in the evening, or 10 minutes a couple times a week, just doing arms or just doing, accessory pump work. But you can also do some really good conditioning if you've only got a couple sets of or one set of adjustable dumbbells. You could do circuit training. You can do power training. You can hit you can hit the whole body with a set of adjustable dumbbells. That would be, if we were going to say what's the best equipment to have for home training, for aerobic and weight training, if I don't have an unlimited budget or space, just for lockdown, I would say 100% dumbbells. Now, dumbbells are going to be more expensive, the bands are going to be more expensive than most other equipment, but they're going to be that much more effective. You can adjust them, which means that you could do lots of different loads. The problem with kettlebells, if you've followed my stuff for long enough, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of kettlebells. People have them, so you can make use of them. Just not a big fan. Like, when the premise of a training implement is that it's awkward, like, let's not make it awkward and let's just train better. So dumbbells are going in. They're the most effective. If that's still out of your budget, maybe we're looking at bands and a couple sets of like either heavier resistance. I wouldn't look at those like the bands that you use, that the chicks use, that they put around their ankles and they turn them out and they do the booty stuff. I wouldn't worry about that. I would just worry about getting a good set of quality bands that you could do some things with. Really, your body weight is going to be enough if you're just looking at conditioning. If you're just looking at keeping yourself ticking over whilst you're in lockdown, because you can do push-ups, you can find a place to do pull-ups, you can do rows, you can do a lot of different variations of push-ups, and that's all the chest stimulus that you need. It's all the pushing stimulus that you need. You can do handstand holds, where you can do single leg squats, you can do single leg hip thrusts. Where you're going to find difficulties sometimes is with the pulling, and so that's why you would want bands if you really, really need. Now, you get, whether that, and here's the thing that and what I've come back to, and it's something that was first sort of brought to my attention by Dr. Mike Israetel, who's been on a podcast a few times. He said that in the initial lockdown, he said, I don't think bands are worth it. If you're going to spend $20 to $40, I just would save that money and just do only bodyweight stuff and not worry about it. I kind of get it, but I think there is a bit of a benefit to using bands, particularly maybe you could add it to your core training program, or you can add it into doing other things. Maybe there is a use, and you can also use bands when you go back into the gym. So I think I'd say he's gone too far with that, but his point was you're either gonna pay the $100 to $200 for some quality adjustable dumbbells, and you're going to get really good use out of them, or you're just going to use your body weight, which is only slightly worse than not having bands. And that 20 to 40 is not worth the investment to give you that tiny bit of benefit. I would say that maybe you can, if you've got good bands that you can then take to gym with you, maybe it's then worth it. I'm not really sure, but that's my answer. Again, as I've said time and time again, equipment, gyms, exercises, movements, they're all just tools. What's the most important is that you understand what you're trying to achieve, and then you're not building. You don't go into a building like, if you're creating something, you're not creating a building or a whatever it is, a structure, and then you're not looking at your tools and going, okay, what can I build here? Like, no, you're looking at the building and you're saying, right, this is what I'm going to build. What do I need to do that? And then you look around and you realize, oh, okay, I've only got these available to me. Can I still do that? Yes, I can. Do I need to make adjustments? Yes, I do. What adjustments do I need to make? You make your coordinate adjustments. So everything that you can, like, all these training methods, exercises, equipment, they're all just tools. Figure out what you need to achieve and what you can accomplish and go about doing that. All right, Dave Thompson says, just get back into lifting weights after lots of years off. I need size, power, strength, the whole shooting match. Don't we all, mate? Should I be concentrating on just a few movements and build techniques and strength first? For example, start with 3 exercises per body part and just concentrate on turning up and working a progressive overload until I've seen a decent lifting gain before bothering with specifics for pure power muscle growth. Yes. Yeah. Dave, you've followed enough of my stuff over the past couple months because I've heard from you quite a lot. Sounds like you've got a good understanding of what I'm trying to preach here. Yeah, build your base out first. Now, you can use a lot of different exercises to build out that base, or you can use a few, you can use 1 exercise per body part to build out that base. For the most part, as always, the middle ground is going to be the best. 3 exercises per body part is probably going to be really good for you. It's probably going to suit all your needs. It's going to give you enough, because the problem is if you have more than 3, I don't even know too many situations where you need to do more than 3 exercises per body part, because like if you're doing 5 or 6 or 7 different exercises per body part per week, I mean per session would be crazy, but per week maybe you could justify. But even then, the problem is that you're so busy, like you're doing so much novel stimulus every week that it becomes that much more difficult to then improve upon the specific movements. So, rather than, let's look at chest, for example, right? So let's say we do incline dumbbell press, we do flat bench press, and we do push-ups, okay? You could do those 3 in 3 different, you could do one of those movements each session for a full body session every week, and then you could, Monday's your incline day, Tuesday's your press up day, Wednesday's your press up day, and Friday's your flat bench day. Okay, every Monday you know what you're going to do, you know what your numbers are, you know to improve, you know how to, you know what you need to improve upon, and you just go in there, you take care of business. If you start adding in more and more and more, you're like, okay, now I've got to improve upon that. I can't remember how to do this technique, and especially if you've spent so much time off, it just adds too much noise. As I've said before, and I've said time and time again, and particularly for you, if you're getting back into lifting weights off of so many years off, focus on the minimum, keep improving. When that improvement starts to slow down or starts to not hit or not go in a direction that you want it to go, or if you feel like you can do a lot more and you're confident in that and you're confident in what you're doing right now can be bettered upon, then make the adjustment. For the start, yeah, 3 exercises per body part. Like, you could do 1 exercise. You could do 1 session 3 times a week and just repeat that for the first 6 weeks of getting back into the gym. Like, that would be fine, because your goal isn't to do the perfect workout. Your goal is to stay consistent, because you haven't been consistent for years. So your goal is to stay consistent. Once you've got that consistency, then we can look at, and to help you stay consistent, you want to reduce the noise, you want to reduce the confusion, you want to reduce the drama, the thinking. So keep that session very similar. I've got a couple guys on my Rugby Muscle Elite roster right now. One of them does 2 sessions, but he repeats it 3 or 4 times a week just to help him stay consistent, just to get him honed in with those movements. Another guy does 3 sessions a week, but he goes into the gym 4 times a week, and he does A, B, C, A, and the next week he does B, C, A, B. Yeah, B, C, A, B. So he does 4 sessions a week, but he does 4 training sessions a week, but he uses 3 different training sessions that he performs. And that way he's not trying to learn all these different movements, or he's not worried about, he's focused on these 3 different sessions that he's got to improve upon, and he's just consistently grinding away and improving upon those. By doing lots of variety, there's no guarantee that's getting better. It's a scarcity mindset that too many guys have. They're like, all right, they're not focusing on improvement. They're focusing on doing more, like within that week. Okay, I've done bench press. Well, was that bench press more than what you bench pressed last week? Yeah, it was. Why do you need to do more? Like you've already made your improvement. Just worry about what you're going to do next week. A lot of guys go into the mindset of, okay, I've done my bench press. What more can I do? Did you improve on? Yeah, I did, but I need to do more. What else? Can I do push-ups? Can I do flies? Why? If you're making improvements, don't add more into it, because that's just going to make you have to do more the next week, and then the next week, and then the next week. You're doing more and more and more. 5 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks down the line, you're doing so much, you're overwhelmed, and you quit. By being more patient, by doing less, by staying more consistent, that is what is going to get you long-term progress. Most of you listening to this, most of you watching this, your struggle isn't that you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough exercises. Your struggle is that what you're doing isn't working, so you're adding more to it, and therefore you add more to it, and then you don't stay consistent because you're adding too much noise. What you need to do is figure out what the minimum effective amount that you can do. Keywords there, minimum. You're not throwing so much at yourself that you're not able to keep up, and effective. You are consistently making progress week on week. That is all you need to focus on pretty much forever. If you're doing a minimum, you're going to stay consistent. If it's effective, you're going to consistently improve. You do that for 3 years, or you do that for 6 months, for fuck's sake, you're going to make phenomenal progress. And that once you've made phenomenal progress for 6 months, you're then inspired, you're then motivated, you then enjoy going to the gym. That becomes part of your life. You then go for another 6 months. Wow, you've got a year of progress. You repeat that for 3 years. All of a sudden, you look like fucking Thor, or you look, you're making so much more progress than you've ever done before. The problem is that we want to look like Thor in 2 weeks, and that's where a lot of guys miss it. And with that rant, I think we'll call it there. I do have one more question that's been asked. The question is, which exercise do I need to do when I get back on the pitch due to COVID-19? I have no idea what that question means, so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'll see you guys. I'll let you know on the Facebook group, Rugby Muscle Athletes on Facebook. I'll let you know what my plan is as far as this podcast goes, or as the live Q&A goes for next week. If nothing else, it'll be this time next Friday, but look out for that being able to change. If you want to grab any of the freebies, rugby-muscle.com. There's a macro guide to get you started with your diet. There's a physique nutrition crash course, which is not as simple as the macro guide, but it's probably going to be more beneficial. It helps you get a deeper understanding. There's 50 free conditioning sessions. There's also Rugby Muscle Elite Coaching. Let me know what you want, and follow me TJ_Rugby on the Instagram. I'm putting a lot more time into that, and so I would appreciate the support on that. Rugby Muscle on YouTube. 5-star reviews, thumbs up. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one.